What's going on, y'all? Your boy Darius Gray here, back with another video. And this time we have ourselves 3 true Airbnb horror stories by Nighttime Spooks. Now, you may have missed it, but yesterday I made a video reacting to some more scary stories. It was like 3 true restaurant stories by Mr. Nightmare. I'll put the link up in that, up there. Yeah, and I said that for the month of October, I'd be reacting, watching, scary, spooky stuff because it is the season of spooks, right? So, I'll be watching this one by, again, Nighttime Spooks. Go over there, subscribe to their channel. And this one is actually very topical because I just got done watching Barbarian for the first time. I know it came out like last year. I never watched it because I'm not that big of a horror movie guy. I watched, a select number, but that was about Airbnb, stuff going on. And so this, very topical, okay? So before we get into this video, do me a huge favor. Click that like button, helps out the channel, okay? Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm trying to get to that 200 number, man. It's my little goal. I got these different goals leading up to 1,000. I believe last time I checked, I was at like 199. So if just one of you subscribes, you'll help me get to 200 and we can continue this journey to 1,000 subscribers, man. And also click the notification bell so that you'll know every time I upload a video. But without further ado, 3 true Airbnb horror stories, man. Let's get it. I've never had an Airbnb, or I've never used an Airbnb. I don't know if I ever will, I have a thing like that.
A few years ago, I went on a trip to California to visit friends. I lived a few states away and was going to fly in, but I needed a place to stay while I was there.
Okay.
First, I looked at hotels, and they were difficult to find, so I decided to check out Airbnbs as well. Those were also hard to find. After a long time of searching, I finally found an Airbnb that seemed to be a really good deal. It was certainly cheaper than any hotels, and seemed like it would work just fine for me.
Okay.
But from the start, the owner of the room seemed a little bit sketchy. The way the ad was written was a little bit odd. There were some spelling errors, and the pictures were sort of weird. The place also didn't have any reviews yet. So when I first saw it, I kept looking. But after not finding anything with nearly as cheap of a price, I considered it again. It was a very small house, and I would have the whole place to myself. The value just seemed way better than any other place that I had looked at.
Fair enough.
Everybody was most likely scared off by the less than ideal photos and description. After all, most of the listings you see on Airbnb look to be professionally photographed and well written.
But this one
Plus,
wasn't.
There was no reviews yet.
Yeah, that's
so
kind
I
of...
decided to just go for it. Having a whole place to myself would be really nice.
You're the first victim.
To just having a small room or staying in somebody's basement. I reserved the place and was slightly nervous for it, but more excited to go to California and visit my friends.
Okay.
When the time came, after my flight, I took a Lyft to the location.
Can't stay with them?
It was towards the end of a quieter street and seemed to have a decent-sized yard. I had instructions on where the key was, which was hidden in the backyard. After I got it, I went inside the house. It was pretty much just how it looked online, and I was feeling good about it. The place was very small, but good enough for me, and I was proud of myself for getting such a great deal.
I'm sure.
It was one level and didn't have an upstairs or basement.
Good.
There was just a kitchen, a living room, one bedroom, and a bathroom. I was in the house for a little bit and then left to meet up with my friends.
Okay.
I hung out with them for basically the rest of the night. Later that evening, I returned to my small Airbnb at probably about 10 p.m. When I got inside, I started to get ready for bed. I was really tired, and within maybe 10 minutes, I was about to get into the bed. I turned out all of the lights in the small house and was making my way over to the bedroom.
I'm waiting for a butt here.
That's when I saw what looked like somebody walking past the window in the backyard. It really took me by surprise, and I stopped walking and looked. But by that time, the person was now out of my view. In the backyard, it was very dark. The only reason that I had seen the person at all was because I had turned all the lights inside off. I didn't get a good look at them, but it seemed to be a man.
Of course it is.
I walked over to the window and looked out, but by now saw nobody. After that, I went over a couple of other windows and
keep looking at my window because
saw nothing.
The backyard.
I decided to try to go to bed now, although I wasn't quite as tired anymore. When I got into the bedroom, though, I saw the man again. Once more, I didn't get a good look at him at all. He briefly moved past the window, which wasn't very big. Now I knew somebody was prowling around out there, and I was really concerned. I went back into the living room and looked out of that window.
Get a weapon.
When I didn't see anything, I went all around to the other windows. There were no shades or blinds for the windows at all, which was too bad. I wanted to cover them.
Dude.
The windows were not very big.
Get a knife.
I just didn't want whoever was walking around to be able to get in or see inside. I made sure the door was locked and then stayed up for a little while. When I didn't see anything for like 30 minutes, I finally got tired again and went back to the bedroom.
Nah, I ain't no going back to sleep.
I got in bed and tried to just ignore the bad feeling that I had.
Nah, ain't no ignoring it.
I wanted to get some sleep. Whoever was out there didn't try to get in or anything, so I was telling myself that I would be okay.
Nah, no.
I laid in bed for no more than 5 minutes before I started to feel very paranoid.
Why would you think that?
I opened my eyes and looked up. When I did, I saw there was a man staring right in the window. This time, I got a good look at his face. When he saw me, he ducked straight down after like a second. He looked really familiar to me, though.
What?
For a few seconds, I didn't know where I'd seen him. Then I remembered. I ran into the small hallway, which was the only area with no windows. Okay. I went on my phone and onto the Airbnb app.
Uh-oh.
That's when I realized that the man in the window was the owner of the Airbnb. He had been staring into the window, watching me try to sleep.
Why?
I wanted to get out of there. I knew that he likely had keys. After all, he owned the place.
Right.
I packed up all of my things right then and there and left. When I left the house, I ran for my car, but didn't see or hear the guy. Then I drove to a random parking lot and tried to find a hotel for the night. I had to drive a ways away and also pay more than I wanted to.
I don't know, sleep in your car somewhere.
I got lucky and was able to find a hotel room. I also reported the man to Airbnb. When I sent him a message about it, he completely denied everything.
Yeah, I'm sure.
After that, I never used Airbnb again.
Okay, all right. Maybe he just likes watching, women sleep. Maybe that's just his thing. I don't know. It was a trap. It was definitely a trap. Yeah, I'm not an Airbnb guy. I don't think I'll ever use one unless I absolutely have to.
I used to rent out my basement for Airbnb. I own a 2-story house that has a decent-sized finished basement.
Okay.
A few years back, I had the idea to rent out the basement to make some extra money. The house is way more space than I needed at the time, and it was a bit of an investment. I thought that the basement would be a good place to rent because it was separated from the rest of the house. So I did some work and made it pretty nice down there by getting some new carpet and furniture. Down in the basement, there's a bedroom, a bathroom, and then basically like a large living room.
What a basement, dude.
I also added a small kitchen in the corner, which has a sink, stove, and refrigerator, as well as a counter.
All this stuff's just saying it's in it.
When everything was completed, I took some pictures and listed it on Airbnb. Because I live only about 5 minutes away from a major city, I knew that people would be wanting to stay in the area. And sure enough, I started to get guests. When people would stay there, I wouldn't even really notice them, because I set up a smart lock on the door leading to the basement.
Nice.
They would arrive after check-in time, and after checkout time, I would go down and clean it. Okay. I would also restock some of the things I left for guests, like water bottles in the fridge. My basement had really good reviews, and I was happy about it.
Nice. Good for you.
Most of the people who stayed there were really nice as well.
Okay.
I didn't meet many of them in person at all, but the few that I did were great. So one time, I had a guy rent my basement for a night.
Uh-oh.
Everything started out normal, and it was just like any other person.
Here we go.
The next day, after the checkout time passed, I went down to clean like I always did. Normally, cleaning wouldn't take too long.
He's still there.
The place had never been left in a really bad shape before.
Waiting for you.
Most people, it's just about as clean as it was before they checked in. Still, I would do stuff like disinfect the countertops and vacuum the carpet. I would usually go down like an hour or two after they checked out, depending on if I had guests coming for the next night. This time, I didn't have anybody staying there the next night, so I went down a little bit later. It was actually nighttime, probably at about 8 p.m. I started cleaning the countertops and stuff. Everything was still clean, and nothing was messed up or out of place that I noticed.
Okay.
Next, I started vacuuming the carpet.
You can check the doors and stuff.
The doors down there were carpet, except for a little bit in the kitchen and
check
the bathroom.
Rooms.
I started in the living room and soon went into the bedroom. As I was vacuuming in there, I got to underneath the bed. The vacuum seemed to hit something that was underneath the bed, but I didn't know what it was.
Hell no.
I stopped and started to look underneath it. That's when I saw a man crawling out from underneath the...
Oh, no. Oh, no, dude. That's what I say, bro. You gotta check everything, dude.
bed. It was the same guy who had been renting the room.
Why is he?
I jumped back and asked him what he was doing here.
The fuck you doing?
The guy simply ran right past me and then up the stairs and out the door. I went over and made sure that he left. Then I tried to go on Airbnb and contact the guy, but never got a response. I really don't know what the guy was doing hiding under my bed. It was really weird though, and I will never forget it.
Yeah, that's weird. I mean, like he just took off and ran. He didn't try nothing, but who knows what kind of nefarious stuff he was planning.
Last year, I got an Airbnb in the woods.
Or maybe he just, I mean, I don't know, man. If you're able to use Airbnb, never mind. I was gonna say maybe he just wanted, to kind of like squat someplace, but I'm just like, you have money to come on now.
It was a cabin, and I was considering getting a cabin myself. I went for a weekend trip and rented the place for 2 nights. It was very far north from where I lived,
Airbnb
but
cabin.
I knew the area pretty well. There were some lakes very close by, and it was mainly just cabins and wildlife in the general area. The cabins in the area were very far apart from each other. It was very secluded and a great place to get away from everything.
A cabin in the woods, you
The
might say.
cabin that I stayed in did have electricity and running water, and was a decent size for a cabin. There was a living room, kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom. If I ended up owning a cabin, I would have wanted it to be very similar.
I don't think I want a cabin.
The very first night, I was cooking something in the kitchen and heard a noise from the other room. There was somebody seemingly knocking on the back door. It was pretty strange to say the least.
Okay.
I stopped what I was doing and walked over to check it out. When I got there, though, nobody was there. I was sure that I had heard somebody knocking, but I started to question myself.
No, never question
Perhaps
yourself.
I hadn't heard somebody knocking.
No.
It wasn't really that loud, and there had been some noise from me cooking. Maybe something else behind the cabin made some noise. The land around there was mostly just woods. There were really no reason for anybody else to be over here anyways.
Yeah, no reason. No reason, huh? Oh my God. You ever watch horror movies, man?
It could have possibly been an animal. I figured it was nothing and went back to cooking. And everything went well for the next hour or so. But that's when I heard it again. By now, I was in the living room, so all I had to do was look over. The back door where it was coming from was only like 15 feet away from me. But when I looked, I couldn't really see anything because of how dark it was outside.
Oh, God.
I got up and then walked over to the door. That's when I was sure that for a second, I saw somebody running away. I couldn't tell who they were or anything. I couldn't even tell if it was a man or a woman, just that somebody was running off. I opened up the door slightly and heard whoever it was now running through the woods, but I couldn't see them at all.
Dude.
The trees and leaves rustled as the person got deeper in. Somebody was messing with me or something. I had no clue who would do this or why, though.
I don't know if they're messing with you.
This was an Airbnb in basically the middle of the woods, far away from anyone else. I was pretty creeped out now. I made sure that the doors were locked and stuff. After a while of nothing happening that night, though, I went to bed. I got to sleep just fine, but woke up sometime in the night. What woke me up was the sound of somebody screaming. They weren't saying anything, but just screaming.
What? Dude, if I hear somebody just sit there screaming outside, nah, son. Nah, fam.
It sounded like once again they were behind the cabin. It was extremely loud, and I got up to walk closer to it. When I got to the back door, it sounded like the person was less than 10 feet away. I carefully looked outside. When I was looking out the window, at first, I saw nothing at all. The noise was coming from to the right, but I couldn't see them from where I was. As I was looking out still, just a few seconds later, the person suddenly came right into my sight. They walked right up to the back door.
Whoa.
It was an insane-looking man.
Oh.
His eyes were really wide as he came right up to the door and then knocked on it.
He was tweaking.
Then he kept screaming.
Ah!
I jumped back and got my phone and called for the police.
He's tweaking, dude.
Then I went into the bedroom and tried to ignore it. The police would take a while to get there because
Like
of
always.
where we were. The man stopped and seemed to go back into the woods about 10 minutes later. And then the police got there about another 10 minutes after that. By then, the man was gone, and I could just tell the police what had happened. They looked around a little bit, but I'm not sure where the guy went.
He was probably some
I
druggie,
ended up
man.
leaving the next morning, but
Yep.
luckily, the guy didn't come back in the time that I was there.
Man, all these stories about them like leaving the next morning, bro. I'm leaving that night. Are you out of your mind? That dude was probably on some type of, I don't know, crack, meth, something. His eyes are wide, looking crazy. Movie. He just right there. You had something in there. Dude, that was Yeesh. Moral of the story is Airbnbs, man. You gotta be careful with those. You really do. Again, I've never experienced any myself. I probably will never do so. I just don't. Man, get me into a nice, heavily populated hotel room, you know, or not hotel room, but hotel itself, where there's other people there around, you know, so that, because you barely hear about stuff going down in hotels, you know, like there's obviously, you know, odd cases where stuff goes down, but hotels, very safe. A lot of people there, man, you know. I don't even know if I'd like trust like motels, like the little rundown looking motel. I don't know if I even trust those, because those kind of, but yeah, man. Airbnbs. Whew. I would, in that, I'm telling you right now, I will always have a weapon on me of some kind. Whether I bring one with me or I grab some from the kitchen, all types of cutlery. Keep playing with me. Mess around and find out when you play with me, all right? But anyway, man, let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Again, go over to Nighttime Spooks, subscribe, because that's pretty good. I'll definitely watch more of these. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.